Hi everyone and welcome back to the Paperless Movement YouTube channel. I'm Tom Solid and I'm really excited to introduce today another guest to my interviews series. He's the CEO of Raven, and if you're one of my Inner Circle members actually, you might have seen the interview I had with him when I was in Houston, Texas, actually visiting Raven. So I'm really excited to have him on the show now on YouTube for use for free. But you also can listen to this episode on my podcast. Just look for Paperless Movement and you will find this in your favorite podcast app. And we will talk about now, not only about new products coming to Raven and new opportunities and when they finally will hit the European market and all these questions you have out there, but we will also talk about the Ravencloud and the AI opportunities we have here to automatically sort documents and all this. This is really exciting things we talked about this. And I think without further ado, let's dive into this interview. Okay, Stefan, thank you for joining the show. It's really awesome to have you with us and I can't wait to get started with you. So before we start, maybe you just introduce yourself, your position in the company Raven actually, and what actually inspired the whole thing founding Raven at all.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. Well, thanks for having me. As you mentioned, my name's Stefan Diasti. I'm CEO of Raven, based here in Houston, Texas, with my team of engineers and support and the like. You asked why we founded Raven. Really, it was quite simply that for our own businesses and for our investor community and their businesses, they wanted a solution to go paperless, and they wanted that to be cloud-based. Internally, those organizations had moved to Chrome boxes, Chromebooks, all cloud-based operating structures, and those don't lend themselves nicely to drivers and kind of antiquated technologies as it relates to document scanning. So as much as companies, including those that our investors were part of, had tried to go entirely paperless, the reality is, right, paper still comes into the business. And so we really wanted to find a way to streamline that, to get a way to have those paper documents into the cloud, right, which is where we had managed our documents moving forward. And we realized very quickly that there wasn't a great solution on the market. And so that's what ultimately drove us to go out and create Raven. And we come from a background of technology and software development, and so this was particularly interesting and a fun challenge for us.
You just mentioned there's not a great solution out there. I'm sure many of the listeners know about the Fujitsu solutions. They love the IX500. Now the IX1500 was released. I'm personally not very happy about this, which is the reason why I made the switch to Raven anyway. However, how did you decide that there's something you can do better than Fujitsu, because they also have cloud-based solutions? You can scan it directly to cloud. So interested to hear more about this.
Yeah, absolutely. The primary difference is we wanted this to be a truly standalone device. And so in order to do that, we wanted to make sure that you could take our scanner out of the box, connect it to your network, right, through Wi-Fi or Ethernet, and very simply start scanning to the cloud within a matter of minutes without ever touching the computer. And so that was something that we found very challenging, to identify on the market prior to the release of our Raven scanners. And that's really been kind of the core differentiator of our product, is that standalone nature, and frankly, the ability, right, that we have as a company our size to be so agile, to listen to our customers, build our product roadmap based on feedback from our customers, and bring that to market, at rapid speeds. Again, not something that you see, in the competition, and we made it, our mission as well to be very customer focused, customer centric from day one. And so if somebody does need support, right, we try to make it as simple as possible, but they're going to be guaranteed to reach somebody, with our stateside support team via phone, live chat, email, text messaging even. And so, those are a few of the things that we think make us very unique relative to our competition.
I can absolutely agree with this, and especially when it comes to how easy it is to set up and use the system. I showed it on the video as well, how tedious it is to set up the Fujitsu compared to the Raven. And I think the issue really with Fujitsu is that they have a lot of different products. So there are different areas where they're working in. So it's hard to focus on one specific product. So I guess for Raven, you focus solely on your document scanner. Is that the only product you have there? And that's why that's the strength in your company?
Well, focus certainly, is a competitive advantage for us as well, as you mentioned. The Raven scanners are our core product for sure. However, we do have a complementary product that we include at no cost for our customers, and that's Ravencloud. And Ravencloud, is still actively in development, as are our scanners. We're constantly building improvements, but Ravencloud is a document management platform, cloud-based. And so that gives our users the ability, if they haven't chosen a cloud service for document storage or document management, then they're welcome to utilize Ravencloud, and it's of course already integrated into our scanners. But with that being said, right, the focus is still very narrow in the sense that it's document scanners and document management, and that's it. And so that allows us, right, to continue to make improvements. And I'm sure you can attest, Tom, right, when you had our scanner for the first time, I think it's been over a year now, what that application looked like then and what that application looks like now, including the destinations that we're connected to, is markedly different. And that again is a result of our ability to listen to customers, and quickly get those released through free over-the-air updates to your scanner.
Yeah. It was really always impressive to see in what pace you're publishing features. And I'm also really keen to talk more about the Ravencloud. Just to point out, I'm using the Raven scanner to scan it still to Evernote. Evernote is relaunching their application now, but I'm still using it for documents and document management and automation with the Filterize. So it sorts my documents into different folders automatically. And is this something that I can achieve with the Ravencloud now or maybe in the future?
Absolutely. It's something on our near-term product roadmap, and I know it's something very important to our customers. So one thing again that makes us unique is we utilize AI technologies, and with that AI technology, right, we have more capabilities to continue to do more, right, with the documents that you choose to scan. So that could be things like auto categorizing document types, automatically extracting data from documents. For example, if you had a custom template in Ravencloud for contacts, right, or business cards, automatically extracting that name, that email, that phone number, and applying that to the template, right, making it easier to search, export that into other systems and databases. And so there's a lot more to come as it relates to kind of the automation and the workflows.
Oh, that sounds awesome. So about the templates, how can I imagine this? I'm building up this template and mark the specific spots on the document, like the invoice number is always on top left or something like this. And your machine learning will then realize later on when I scan this type of document, it will apply this template automatically and also recognizes this as a invoice number.
Yeah, so it could be one of two ways. It could be, as you described, where there's some user input, right, identifying the location where you want this information extracted. But the AI technologies are such that that information can be identified and derived without that user input in many cases. So, the AI technology can identify and say, hey, that's an email address, right? That's an address, that's a phone number. And so our goal is to remove as much of that human upfront work as possible. And potentially it would be a workflow where the Ravencloud template suggests, right, data and learns as you approve it, right, that this is the type of data that should be populated there. So a lot more to come, but our goal, of course, is to, again, be differentiated in ways that we utilize that technology.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this sounds like an end-to-end solution, but for me now is the end in the document management system. If you follow this channel and if you're part of the inner circle of my paperless movement, you know that I'm looking for an really end-to-end solution, starting with input and having an output. So what about connections from your Ravencloud to other platforms, using Zapier or other API connectors, or maybe an own API, so I can forward this information to my, per email account and automations like this?
Absolutely, and those are all things that we can do. We have, of course, our own Raven API that facilitates those handoffs, right, between the scanner and third-party cloud services, or between the scanner and Ravencloud itself. And so those are features and functionality that we can very easily add, and we plan to over time. We as we start to do more with the extracted information with templates and other types of information, adding an export capability to other systems makes a lot of sense. And for emails right now, we just email with our own Raven mail service, but adding your own email client is something that we have on the roadmap as well.
Oh, that sounds awesome. So what's the timeline for the improvements you just talked about in the Ravencloud? 1 year, 2 years, a decade?
Certainly not a decade. So the Ravencloud, you're going to see a significant amount of improvements in 2021 with Ravencloud. Right now, we're focusing on finishing up development on a new product that'll be launching here towards the end of 2020 and the first quarter of 2021. And then you're going to see a big focus on Ravencloud improvements in 2021. So a lot of
what's that product?
I'm sorry?
I'm keen now. What's the product? I'm keen now.
Well, I can tell you this. I can say it's we'll be introducing a new Raven scanner model that's not on the market today. That's quite different than those that we have, as well as a native application for Windows and for Mac that you can use with any of our Raven scanners. So, I mentioned that we've really started our entrance into the market with Raven scanners to be a true standalone device. Having said that, we've learned, right, just as I mentioned, we listened, right, to the feedback we're getting from customers, and we've learned that there's a good segment of the market that still wants the ability to control the scanner from their computer directly. And so we've currently are in development, but we've been wrapping up development of a native Raven desktop, it will be called, application that can be used with our scanners, including the new model that we'll be releasing later this year.
Okay. So talking about scanning directly to the computer, let's go with this one. It is already possible, isn't it? So I can use the train drivers and things like this to connect it directly and scan it directly, or via a NAS, so I can scan it to my storage in my network.
That's correct. So all of our scanners come with Twain or ICA drivers for Mac that allow you to use either third-party applications to scan. So whether that's NAPS 2, or whether that's ExactScan, or whether that's Adobe Acrobat DC, all of those are compatible with our scanners and the included drivers. What this Raven desktop allows you to do is have that clean, simple, intuitive Raven interface that customers have come to love, right? And also takes away that technical complexity of installing drivers, getting that set up, setting up shared folders on your desktop, right? Things that are interesting for a lot of our customers, but quite advanced. And so we've really simplified that with the Raven desktop we'll be launching later this year.
So will this desktop application then also provide me access to the Ravencloud, and I can manage my stuff in there? Will it be included in this version, in this application?
Yeah, so Raven Desktop will allow you to scan to Ravencloud, but you will access Ravencloud in the browser. So it's not going to be a desktop version of Ravencloud, if you will.
Yeah, okay. No, it's no issue. I'm also more for the web-based applications because
that's the trend,
they look the same, and I can access them from anywhere. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's no issue for me here. Talking about cloud and web access and all this, I'm based in Germany, in EU, and we have GDPR going on and all this. So Raven is currently not available in Europe right now. And I know many of my followers want this Raven scanner, ordered it already. I sent many of them directly to you. You were able to send it out. But the question that arises is, how safe is our data? Is it GDPR compliant, or do we have to worry on our end there?
Well, you don't have to worry. We practice best practices in terms of data security, and in fact, there's a massive project underway on our backend team specific to security, and this is going to be one of our new differentiators in the market that hasn't been talked about. So you're the first to hear about this, but
Okay,
there
yeah.
will be a new feature that's available that, quite frankly, is going to provide the highest level of security that exists today for cloud-based document management. And so we are currently finishing up that project, and once that's in place, then we will complete the GDPR compliance, as well as HIPAA compliance and other security requirements. But we want to wrap that up because this is um, it's so secure and so differentiated. We wanted to make sure that that's a part of that compliance audit. But to your, I would say to your viewers and your audience in Europe and to Germany, first of all, I apologize for the delay. Unfortunately, COVID-19 impacted us, like many companies on the supply chain, that did delay our entry into the European markets this year as planned. But we do have plans to enter into the European markets in 2021. And those supply chain issues should be resolved by then, as well as this GDPR and security components.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. I know many of you listening and or watching this on YouTube right now, you're eagerly waiting to get it from Amazon in Germany or in Europe in general. So that's really good news then, that we will have still hope in 2021 to get it directly, but also that we are still able to order it from America without any issues when it comes to data security. I'm pretty calm now.
Yeah, and
sure
with
many are happy to
when
hear
we
this.
formally launch as well, all of customers' data will be stored, um, within their region. So if you purchase and you sign up and use the Raven scanner in Germany, then your data is going to be stored right in your region in Germany. And so we use cloud-based architecture that allows us to stand up those storage locations, instantaneously for customers.
Yeah, that's perfect. And when I'm sending my document from my scanner directly to Evernote, for example, does it go to your server first and then to Evernote? So, or is it, then it's an issue with Evernote with the data security?
Got it. Yeah. So it does initially pass through the Raven API as a
Yeah.
handoff to Evernote. And the primary reason for that is we use a AI-powered OCR technology. So rather than just pushing a static version of OCR on the device itself and letting that kind of do its thing, we use that AI-powered OCR in the cloud on its way to the destination. So that's the primary reason that it goes through the API, is so that OCR can occur. We'll be adding functionality to disable that should the user choose to. And at that point, then we won't do any of that OCR in the cloud. But it does go through our API and then straight to Evernote. Documents are not retained unless Ravencloud is selected as a destination. So it's purely a conduit to those third-party destinations.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. So for the people who don't know what OCR is, it is transcribing the text into, or make the document searchable, in fact, isn't it? So that's what also Evernote does. So when I can switch off this OCR, I could bypass the Raven services, and then I would directly scan it to Evernote without any other company involved, isn't it? So this would be an option then. That's what you just mentioned.
That's correct. And that OCR, for the listeners, the reason why we do this AI-powered OCR is it allows us to detect text in all languages far better than what static OCR software could do. So it's continuously learning, right? And that's not just typed text, but handwritten text. Whether you're writing in block letters or you're writing in cursive, whether you're writing in English or whether you're writing in German, right? Our ability to detect that text accurately is really differentiated, and it allows us to have a global footprint in terms of the languages that are supported.
And as it is AI based, the more documents going through this AI,
The better it gets.
the better it becomes. So, yeah, I'm happy to support there. But yeah, that sounds really great. So one question would be, why did you choose Raven? I mean, what does a Raven has to do with a document scanner? So I'm keen to learn more about that.
Yeah, so this came from this concept of flying documents to the cloud, right? Again, I mentioned that we really wanted to be cloud-based. We wanted it to be more of a playful brand, right, than this kind of dry, corporate structure. So we had this concept of flying documents into the cloud. We wanted a kind of character that would be recognizable and again a little bit more playful and kind of upbeat than just some random hardware brand. And so that's why we chose Raven, and we were able to get Raven.com and build a brand around that, and that's how we landed on Raven.
Yeah, so I actually like this Raven. It really gives the brand a face, if you will so. And when you switch on Raven with the different jokes or different quotes you have on a daily basis, that's really a nice solution to make it a bit more fun using the device. So what does actually the ideal customer look like for Raven? So who should get a Raven scanner?
So, the ideal customer is any business that's moving paper right through their business on a daily or weekly basis and wants to be able to digitize those documents and shred them, right, and not have to store those physical documents. But just as much as businesses, we're seeing increasingly households, right, that want to scan the mail as it comes in, right, the bills, the invoices, the tax related documents, and put those in a place that, again, they can shred it, toss those, and at the year end, when it's tax season, easily go in and identify those through search or if they need them throughout the year. And so really it's a broad market, but I would tell you that the majority of our customers are small to mid-sized businesses and what I call kind of chief household officers that are really in charge of managing documents that come into the household.
Okay, so sounds absolutely makes sense because I received these comments as well. Why don't I can just use a photo app to do this and so on? And I directly had the thought, well, maybe you don't have enough documents to scan. So when I look at myself, I was scanning loads and loads of documents. So I really needed this. Put in, I think, what is it, 40 pages or something that I can put at once in the Pro scanner.
100 pages in the Pro.
Oh, 100 even, yeah. So just put it in there and forget about this for a few minutes and think about this using your iPhone app and scan every page and also the quality. So so you answered already. It's more focused on small to mid-sized businesses where you have a regular or frequent use case. However, for me as well, I'm one of these customers having this in my office and just scanning any mail coming in, and that works really well. And I know a lot of you out there using Raven the same way. So I'm pretty proud actually that you joined the Inner Circle. Already you are one of the founding members actually of the Inner Circle. So you've been in the forum pretty active. So whenever people had questions about the Raven scanner, it was awesome to see the reaction time by yourself, the CEO of Raven. That was really nice. And I also want to mention that you provided the Inner Circle members a 5% discount on Raven. So if anyone is interested, getting one, that's also really generous to have there. So talking about the Inner Circle and that you are in there, is it only to make advertising for Raven or do you want to learn about more productivity? Because I'm really keen, when you're pushing out so many features in such a pace, there must be a really efficient productivity system behind this. Maybe you can talk more about this side now of Raven.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's not a marketing channel for us, although certainly there may be some of your members that choose to buy a Raven scanner. But for those of your membership that are part of the Inner Circle, I think they know that we don't push advertisements, right, or the product really on there. But for us, it's another way to engage with customers. It's another way to engage with an audience that is very much like the user profile of those of our Raven scanners. And so it's hopefully it's a mutual opportunity, right, for us to learn from the inner circle members and how they're using it, right, which helps inform our product roadmap and features and functionality as much as it is, when we push out updates. I know we do push out the release notes to the inner circle. That way we can get feedback again, right, and those customers can see the capabilities and how to take advantage of those. So it's a two-way relationship, right, and we certainly get a lot out of the inner circle members and hearing what they like and what they'd like to see, and then certainly from you, Tom, and the webinars, right, and the workflows and how you start to bring these things together. It's very informative for us.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm happy to have you with us there. And but what do you use for your team? What is the productivity system that you have in place to get these things done? Maybe you can mention some tools. Probably not those are not the normal Todoist tools. So I'm really keen to learn, how do you manage the team on Raven?
Yeah, so from a communication perspective, we use Slack, and Slack's been very useful for us for real-time communication, particularly right with our support team. So as customers are reaching out, with questions, with issues, this allows our support team to have a direct line to our software developers, right, and everybody in between. And so that's been very effective for us on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things we really like about Slack is it hooks in to virtually every other service that we would use for the day-to-day productivity. We use Zendesk as well, and Zendesk we use to manage our knowledge base for Ravencloud and for Raven Scanner. We use that for all of the inbound ticketing, emails, live chats, text messaging, phone calls, and so that's been helpful in organizing information. It actually does a really nice job. But on the business side, we use G Suite across the board, and so from email to Google Docs to Google Sheets and Drive, everything is within G Suite, and that allows us to easily share information and documents throughout the organization. Other tools that we use are Todoist. I know you said that's kind of the basics, but we use Todoist, and it's worked very effectively for us across.
So you're using Todoist in a team or for personal task management in your company?
Both.
Okay. So
yes.
It works for collaborate, because I mentioned this on different other channels already, that for me Todoist is a personal task manager, but hearing this now, that makes me now really interested. How you use Todoist in a team.
We use it across a variety of teams. So for example, with the operations team, there are recurring tasks that need to be done on a weekly basis. So rather than having these as calendar invites and you may miss the calendar notification or not really work off of a calendar in a certain type of role, we use Todoist to have those recurring not invites, but tasks rather, show up on those teams list on a weekly basis. Additionally, as new tasks come up or items come up from management, from myself, or just within the organization, those can get added to the respective team Todoist. So whether it's a marketing task, to-do list, or whether it's operations or whether it's support, all of those can get added. It gives us full transparency and visibility into the tasks that need to be done at a team level, including those recurring tasks. And the nice thing with Todoist too is we can have deadlines, right? We can go back even when they're marked as complete and see the historical information of who marked it to complete, when we get notified, right, when tasks are complete or when they're overdue. And so it's actually been very effective for us, both at an individual level, but also at a team level, to track, those items and make sure that whoever is available, right, to complete that task, we can assign them. But in some cases, anyone on the team could pick those up.
Well, that's really interesting. I didn't know about that. And, that sounds great. So do you use, as you mentioned that you're using G Suite, do you use the two-way synchronization so that people get time slots for their task in Todoist blocked on their calendar?
We do. So we can integrate it there, and then there's several other integrations, like I mentioned, that we have on the development side. We have integrations into GitHub, and they use more of a GitHub and ZenHub technology stack. But all of these systems that we choose to use, one of the prerequisites is that there's some type of API or integration. That way, you're not having to go manage any one of these systems independently. Slack, of course, right, for Todoist, making sure that those notifications get pushed out there, because that's our primary communication channel.
Oh, you're talking my language there. So that sounds really great. And I think it is not something very common still nowadays. Too many companies could be so much more efficient, especially the big ones where you have applications all over the place. The reason for not being productive is the lack in efficiency, connecting these different applications to each other, or duplicating information and all this. So thank you very much for giving us the insight into your productivity system at Raven. So I think this was really interesting as well.
I should add on there.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't mention, but we use Ravencloud, of course, internally as well for documents. So we use Google Sheets and we'll use Google Docs to create docs. But for like our accounting department, our HR departments, of course, are exclusively using Ravencloud to scan that in and manage any documents and files related to those functions.
Yeah, well, that is something I also wondering sometimes if those companies actually use their own app in the way they build it, or the UI or the user experience. I think they don't use it on their own. So obviously this is another reason you're learning just by using it on your own.
Exactly.
And that's the best way to do it, isn't it?
My accountants are not shy, so I know when there's bugs.
Yeah, that's good to know. So do you want to let my community any final words for this, to sum this up?
Yeah, I would just say that, as I mentioned before, right, we are a company that's still very new. We've been in the market for about 1.5 years, and we were founded on the basis of productivity, right, and efficiency, and finding innovative ways to make life easier as it relates to going paperless. And so, we are all ears as a company. It's core to our values, and so we welcome any feedback, whether it's pre-sale, post-sale. And Tom, we appreciate your reaching out and letting us be a part of the inner circle and your community to help facilitate some of that.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Really nice talk here. And I would say thank you very much, and we will tune in next time.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
So I think this was very insightful. And I think we have to make a follow-up meeting in a few months when we see how Raven evolved when a new product is out. And I cannot wait to see the upgrades coming to the Ravencloud. That's really the most exciting thing. And when I look at Evernote, where I already use Filterize together with Evernote on how seamless everything works, I can really see a bright future for the Ravencloud if they get it right. And if they get it right, you will be informed about on this YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and to my podcast if you don't want to miss the next episode when I talk to a new guest, and I'll catch you up next time.